This is Dr. Spud. I wanted to invite the news media today to my home here at the Spud Institute to talk about the condition of the United States and to the big election coming up in 2018 or 2016, whenever it's coming pretty soon. Anyway, I have decided, after looking over all the candidates, that I would like to run as a candidate for President of the United States. So I'm going to try today to answer some questions that the news media has given me, and I'll do my best to answer all these questions. First of all, they asked me about the Republican Party nominees, the people who are candidates already announced, and they're wonderful people. I like all of them. I think any of them would be a good president, although I think I have a better plan. Donald Trump. Donald Trump, for one thing, I think I have better hair than Donald Trump. And I think I'd like to challenge Trump to a hair debate. And then I hope I'll also be on the big debate with 30 or 40 of all of the Republicans, just hoping they don't get into some kind of fist fight or something like that. I wouldn't like that. Anyway, they also asked me about Senator Tom Cruise, and I like Cruise. I like his ideas. And I also enjoyed all the movies, the Mission Impossible movies that have been coming out. So Tom Cruise I really like. Zeb Bush. Zeb Bush comes from a family of dedicated public people. Several of his ancestors have been President of the United States, going way back to, I think, to the 1700s or 1800s. George Henry Walker Herbert David Ralph Bush, I think, was the first one. And there have been 6 or 7 other Bushes in that office. The first one was very good. The others since then maybe not quite so good. Let's see who else. Rick Perry. I understand Rick Perry is dropping out of the race because of funds. Nobody's got as much money as Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump's got maybe $9 trillion zillion, enough to buy most of Europe. But I have set up my campaign in a way that I will only accept 2 cents from every person. That way you're not beholden to anyone for 2 cents, and everybody gets their 2 cents worth in. They like to have that. Yes, at midnight last night, I think our funds total $187. Anybody else? Let's see. Oh, Dr. Bob Carson. Dr. Carson is also a doctor like me, and I think his grandfather was the famous Indian scout Kit Carson, and that's a wonderful family too. He probably would know a lot about the military. The media asked me, Dr. Spud, what if you don't win the Republican nomination? Would you consider running as an independent? And I said, maybe. A definite maybe so. If I do, I would probably run under the Who's That party. Lots of people, when I first talked about running, and they said, Dr. Spud, then they said, who's that? So maybe the Who's That party, we'll see how things work out. But I'm very excited about what has been on television lately in the polls. The polls are showing that I have about 117% of the Republican vote in the polls. Now that's remarkable. That tells me that maybe some Democrats are running over behind the scenes and voting Republican, and maybe lots of people from Canada. I think I probably have a lot of Canadian support maybe. So that is kind of my situation, my plans. I would like to say just a couple of things about the Democrats. The Democrats can't find anybody to run for the office. So if you're interested in running, you might want to call them and see if you could help them. The only one I know of is Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hillary Clinton, I believe, was married to Dennis Rodman, the basketball player, earlier, and then later to Slick Willie, who was also a politician. Also, there are one other candidate, Colonel Bob Sanders. Now, Colonel Sanders is a great man. He is best known for a delicious chicken recipe. It's finger-licking good. And that's Dr. Sanders, and I think he will do well in the polls also. And finally, the Democrats are trying to find out if the vice president, who I think is Jim Burton, I think Jim Burton maybe is not interested in running. So we're trying to scrap up enough people to have a contest with the Democrats. And finally, my platform. Everyone says, Dr. Spud, what is your platform? What do you stand for? Well, the main thing I would like to see accomplished is to build the HOLA Pipeline. HOLA is the Spanish word, but it comes from the words Houston and LA, HOLA. I would like to see that platform, that pipeline built between Houston and Los Angeles. Houston gets drowned out in the fall, in the springtime, about May, with lots of rain. They have more water than they need. So they would use the HOLA pipeline to pipe water to Los Angeles, which has no water. In turn, in Houston, you know, they eat a lot of Mexican food. And there's a shortage in Houston of guacamole. So there's plenty of guacamole in Los Angeles. So we'll ship the guacamole to Houston, the water back to Los Angeles. And also the pipeline could be the border between Mexico and the United States. If anyone turned up all colored green, you would know that they were trying to cross the border illegally. They would have guacamole all over them, and that's easy to tell. Another idea that I had is that I might run for president of Mexico. Being president of both countries would make it a lot easier, the relationships, you know, between those two countries. So that's about it. I think also about Mexico that I could also bring the prices down on tacos and tequila, stuff like that. So our next press conference, I will probably talk about Congress and maybe the foreign policies. That'll be next week. Congress, the trouble with Congress, the humorist Will Rogers once said, is every time that Congress makes a joke, it's a law. And every time they make a law, it's a joke.